You may not be familiar with Warble McGorkle unless you've read a book called The Wacky Misadventures of Warble McGorkle by a certain Blackbird crow raven, who I think is some sort of mysterious recluse or other type of lunatic. Okay, you probably figured it out anyway. I'm actually him. If you are unfamiliar with this book's protagonist, it will help you to understand this tale if you first know at least a few things about him. For example, you should know that Warble McGorkle started out as a megalomaniacal, paranoid, lower tax bracket type of person and then became a megalomaniacal, paranoid, filthy rich. No taxes at all via myriads of loopholes discovered by fancy pants lawyers person by means of several silly but serendipitously successful schemes. Since you probably want to get filthy rich too, you might want to know just how Warble did it. Without further ado, he, among other things, 1. Started a new musical genre when he formed a polka punk band. 2. Created a no prison bars barred reality TV show called Bad Boys Behind Bars, which was filmed in federal penitentiaries. 3. Reinvented himself as a swankily outfitted superhero, namely the colorblind chameleon. 4. Founded a biotech concern that altered people's personalities by means of custom manufactured designer pills. At the end of his so-called wacky misadventures, Warble resigned his post as President of the United States, a job he was able to finagle his way into after learning the ropes of dirty politics as governor of Wisconsin under the tutelage of crafty old Whortleberry Dane, and returned to private life. Not one to lay in a hammock or play golf all day, though. In the meantime, Warble has increased his personal fortune through connections he made during his tenure in public office. It may interest you to find out just how Warble increased his already substantial real estate holdings, stock portfolios, and enormous bank account. But do not try to do this at home, folks. First, Warble contracted with the United States government to eradicate all spam. While the government intended to have unwanted emails, which were wasting everyone's time and killing the GDP, nipped in the bud, or nipped in the butt, as Warble puts it, Warble had the pressed meat in mind. To kill the market for spam, Warble sent everyone in the country an email containing a rumor that spam is an acronym for the ingredients used in the substitute ham. In the mass email he disseminated, Warble claimed that these ingredients were spinach, possums, called opossums by librarians, wildlife biologists, and other snobs, arsenic, and marshmallows. Thus, spam was ruined and went bankrupt. Naturally, the government brought suit against Warble in an attempt to avoid paying him the exorbitant fee he had successfully negotiated, $3.14 billion. But Warble came off victorious in the resulting court case. After all, to be technical, which lawyers tend to be, Warble did rid the country of spam, the ham replacement, and the contract did not explicitly specify that unwanted email was the type of spam that was meant. Following his victorious day in court, Warble emailed everyone in the country with news of his glorious and splendiferous vindication in the proverbial halls of justice. He also let them know that it was now safe, after all, to eat spam, which in actuality contains no spinach, possums, arsenic, or marshmallows, but rather CPS, MS, WSSN, chopped pork shoulder meat, sugar, water, salt, and sodium nitrite. Our hero, anti-hero more like, made a few million more by writing a best-selling diet book wherein he guaranteed that anyone who followed his eating regimen would lose a minimum of 25 pounds or 10% of their body weight, whichever was the smaller net amount, a qualification that was printed in an exceedingly tiny font size. The guarantee was null and void, though, if the dieters failed to keep secret the details of the diet. The crux of Warble's incredible shrinking wonder diet was that the dieter enumerated his 10 least favorite foods, and these then became the only foods he was allowed to eat. For those who didn't want to read his book or didn't know how to read, for example, many well-cushioned members of Congress, Warble also set up a consulting practice wherein he, not personally, but represented by smooth-talking, glad-handing, backslapping, bright-smiling salesman, dispensed the same advice contained in his book at a cost of $314 for a 15-minute session. The salesmen were mostly former talk show hosts and wannabe actors who had been sworn to secrecy. Warble paid them $3.14 an hour for their services. Seeing an unfilled need in the pharmaceutical market, Warble also realized a nice hefty profit on a drug he engineered. Recognizing that most of today's world travelers are old hippies who converted to crass commercialism and capitalism once their parents' money had run out, and are either traveling on business or spending their hard-earned dough on exotic vacations in the far-flung corners of the world, eco-touring and otherwise soothing and pampering their tortured souls, Warble designed and marketed a new medication to prevent air sickness called OM. Warble named it OM because it is a transcontinental medication. As Warble foresaw that it would be, OM was a big hit with the jet-set, jet-lag crowd. So then, to make a long, tedious story somewhat concise, after making oodles of money in the music, television, and pharmaceutical businesses, as well as the post-presidential spam scam, Warble doesn't have any real need to earn cash. And it is hard to get motivated to make money when you have all you could conceivably need, want, or even dream of, especially when it's just you and your wife to support. With no kids to whom to leave the estate, no political affiliations to support. Since serving as president, Warble has lost all respect for politicians. No religious mendicants on the dole, no feelings of great responsibility towards alma maters. Warble was a high school dropout, thinking he already knew everything all the teachers combined knew. There was just no incentive to amass any more money or material goods. Altruism now drives Warble. Or so he thinks. Or at least claims. But old predatory habits die hard, as we will see.